Gabriella. Thanks for being here on the Be Love podcast.
I love it. Thank you so much. I love the title.
It's a good topic, isn't it, to talk about love?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's pretty much it is the most important thing in life. And sometimes we don't always give as much attention to it. So that's the focus of this podcast, is to just
Yeah.
hear people's stories of love and try to learn a little more about what
Mhm.
helps love to move, to flow, what gets in the way. So
Right.
I wonder where you might like to start, if you might want to share your sense of that in your life right now, or tell a little bit of your story. Where do you feel called to begin today?
Well, thank you for asking that question. First thing that came to my mind is I've been teaching and leading meditation for some time, as well as being a meditator myself. And loving kindness meditation is a Buddhist practice, loving kindness and compassion meditation. And every time I see or I hear you or I see what you're doing, that just pops in my mind. I, of course, am not Buddhist, but these teachings and these ancient practices of loving kindness are so synchronistic with what I feel we need to be doing and what you are actually promoting.
Yeah. What is that experience of loving kindness meditation for you? Can you share a little bit about
Yeah.
what it feels like? Or
So, first off, I began doing loving kindness meditation, gosh, I want to say 8, 9 years ago, maybe. And the person that I first heard talk about loving kindness was Sharon Salzberg. And I think of her with such gratitude. And that's what it feels like for me. Every time I'm leading a meditation with clients, that those little phrases that you direct to yourself, may I be happy. May I be free of suffering. May I live with ease and joy. And there are, of course, many others phrases, but hers are I like the best, and I tell that to clients because they're short. I can remember them.
it's helpful.
It certainly is. So I direct it to myself. May I be kind. May I be kind to my dear one, my precious one, selecting someone, bringing it to your imagination. And I do that. So that's so much a part of that meditation. And then to move towards someone you don't know very well. Some teachers will say neutral person. I don't like using that word. It just doesn't ring true for me. So I usually, and this is like my reflection is somebody I don't know very well. And then I give examples of it. And I'm always able to think of someone that I don't know very well, but I yet want to direct these phrases toward them. May you be happy. May you be free of suffering. May you live with joy and peace. So, and then of course, the last part of it is what I always say is very difficult to wish kindness to someone you don't like, with someone, to someone who you may have a conflict with. I don't use the word enemy. Some teachers use that. I don't. I think that's a little, it's enough to say you don't like them.
Yeah.
And, um, and so when I first began to do this, and I did it for myself long before I ever led and taught loving kindness meditation, I remember thinking there is certain things I need to stay away from. And I will often say, I cannot bring a political figure into this meditation. It derails me. Um, so I say that sometimes too when I'm leading a group. And so it is always, I feel it in myself, and I'm able to project that sense that we all need loving kindness. All human beings need it. And that's part of my education about loving kindness and actually about all meditation is to understand that this is something that can lift you up, that can actually give you a sense of self-worth, because often, Sage, what I will do at the very end is I will say, at the very end, so I've went through these three different parts, and then I'll say, let's direct loving kindness to all human beings, include yourself.
It's such a
And
powerful
that always, yes,
that
it's
gets
very
to.
powerful. It also sometimes gives me goosebumps.
It lights up that real loving energy that really
Yes.
exists inside of us. And I wonder, you say you're not a Buddhist, and we're Swedenborgians. I wonder if Emanuel Swedenborg had been exposed to loving kindness meditation in his lifetime, if he would have been like, oh, this is great, because so much of his message is that
Yes.
worship is a life of
Yes.
kindness. And this does feel
Absolutely.
like a very direct method for remembering that and
Yes.
practicing that and really
Right.
honoring not just our kind of activity of being kind, but that we can actually kind of rest in kindness
Yeah.
almost.
I love that what you said, that rest in kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so often we need that kindness
Hmm.
for
For
ourselves
ourselves. Yes.
first,
Yeah.
before we can really give it to others. It's interesting. Just this morning, I was taking a walk, and I really don't normally do this, but I was sort of spontaneously just like practicing love for like the tree and the street sign. And I was just sort of like, I sort of spontaneously felt this desire to just notice that I had that power to be loving towards what I was encountering.
Yes. Wow. That is very powerful.
It's powerful. It's a powerful practice. And I also, I guess the other point I wanted to bring up, you mentioned not bringing political figures in, that derails you. And I wonder if that's because
Being very honest about it.
I appreciate that honesty. Well, and I resonate with that. And I wonder if it's because when someone's a political figure, their their personhood is a little bit, it's hard to see them just as a person, right? They represent all the ideas that they have and all the policies that they uphold and all the, if it was just a person, dressed in plain clothes sitting in front of you, you probably could do it.
Sure.
But it's those identities that are attached. What is your, I don't know, I wonder if you have any thoughts about that, about how we can love each other beyond our identities, or does it include identity?
That's an interesting question. Let me bracket that a bit,
Okay,
because there's
sure.
two things that are very, very important in these two practices, loving kindness and compassion meditation. Is first of all, is you're expressing an intention. That's one. And the other is, not all teachers say this, but some do, and I absolutely gravitate to that. You can't fix things. You can only direct this from your own compassionate heart. And this is very much a part of compassion meditation, which is actually a deeper meditation than loving kindness. So how do I deal with, I've been saying that I don't bring political figures into my mind for many years. So this isn't something new. Again, it goes to that idea is that we're all human beings. None of us are perfect. And we really, and this, of course, is my Swedenborgian belief. And it's also definitely part of Christian tradition as well, of course, is that idea that we really cannot judge the internal of someone else. And that's pretty scary, because we do want to judge. We want to condemn. We want to send them to hell.
Interesting. So you have the recognition that we can't judge it, and yet we have that impetus to judge. Yes, that's definitely one of the places where we're growing. We're growing all the time. I wonder if you can say more about what makes, I'm somewhat familiar, but what makes compassion meditation deeper than loving kindness meditation? What's the
Okay.
distinction for you?
Right, right. So both of these traditions, practices are ancient. Both use repetitive phrases.
Mhm.
directed towards yourself, directed towards others. So that's very much the similar with both of them. Where there's different is nearly every teacher who is leading or teaching loving kindness will have a phrase in there, may I be happy. Compassion meditation, nearly every teacher I ever listened to will have the phrase, may I be free of suffering. Okay, so think on that a moment. That's not the same. One is, if you're thinking about it, yeah, being free of suffering is deeper. I be free of suffering.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
That's I was just doing a video the other day reflecting on this. Helen Keller often would say she's not motivated in her life to be happy, that happiness isn't really a very good goal, but that her life is made meaningful because of a commitment to a worthy purpose. And she
right.
also would often say that that worthy purpose was to allay suffering, to lessen the
Right.
suffering of God's children. So obviously, we're more likely to be happy if we're not suffering. So, so it doesn't leave out the possibility of happiness, but it doesn't
No,
emphasize the happiness.
right.
That there's a what has helped you in your life to release suffering or to lessen suffering? If you might share.
Well, that goes towards meditation in general.
Yeah.
And because mindfulness meditation is really necessary, I think if you want to meditate, start with mindfulness. And so on the channel, I've been covering the 7 essential attitudes of mindfulness. And I must say that simply the word allow, don't duke it out, don't push it down, don't try to suppress it in any way. Notice it, allow it. And that's not easy. And yet it is very important.
Oh, so important.
And I'm not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination.
But you're committed to
Oh,
practicing.
yes, I am absolutely committed because that word allow is so much a part of meditation. You're not to grab when this sensation in the body arises, let's say, make space for it.
Space for it and allow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And that's a huge part of my journey as well, allowing and acceptance. And just as you're speaking, it's making me realize that it's a it's a personal practice in terms
Yes.
of just allowing the moment. But I'm also sort of thinking about it on a like practical scale, that I'm thinking about Helen and kind of her efforts
Yes.
let to support the inclusion of people with disabilities, or all of the efforts. A part of that is allowing, like saying, oh, look, as a human species, we have people who have disabilities, we have people who have different uh, you know issues and needs. Are we going to try to suppress it? Are we going to try to eliminate that? Are we going to try to Can we just allow us to all be here, and then do what's necessary to care for one
Right.
another?
Right.
There is a powerful resonance between allowing, accepting, and just like seeing clearly, you know,
Yes.
and letting things be is powerful. Do you feel like your practice, when you think of Gabriella, I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, can you see a shift in yourself? Can you see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. In my other life. Oh, yes. I did all the things that I am now. Okay. This is not me anymore.
Interesting. So you can still see those parts of you show up.
Sure, sure. But I allow it when it comes up, and I am gentler with it. It comes from the internal family system. Parts are welcome. Always, always comes to me. Jesus chose 12 disciples. They were not by any means perfect in any way, and yet they made up the ones that he chose. And Swedenborgian theology teaches us, yeah, we have all parts of us, including Judas, including all of the disciples with their various flaws and their various qualities. And so I recognize that within myself.
I love
Yeah.
that. I do feel like there's such a resonance between IFS and mindfulness meditation and our Swedenborgian understanding of kind of the influence of the spiritual world on our psyche. And I love that you are, I love the image of the 12 disciples. I think in my own journey, I'm just discovering kind of my primary disciple, like the one I'm most identified with.
And who
And
is
I,
that?
well, just I'm a manager. I'm a make things happen. Maybe I'm like just like I'm going to get all the things done. And I know that part of me will always be there, but I look forward to a day when that part of me doesn't feel like they have to be totally in charge. When people at the table. Sounds like there's a lot of people at the table for you now in your life. Parts of yourself that weren't there at the beginning that have sort of shown up over the years.
Well, I recognize it, and I'm on that beginner journey with IFS. Once I came across it, I immediately, yes.
Yeah. You knew there was truth to it.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. The moment that I heard about it, I thought, yes, this
Yeah.
is it. All parts are welcome, and we need to have the dialogue between them. So
Yeah.
I kind of work with that, not on a regular basis, but when it does come up, I'm able to look at it and listen. Okay, what's going on here?
Sounds like a second level to the allowing and acceptance. Sort of like
Yes.
you
Yeah,
allow and accept, and then once
right.
you're going to be allowing, you notice, ooh, who's showed
Mhm.
up, and how are we all getting along or not getting along right now?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. Do you find that that has influenced how you get along with people on the outside or other
Sure.
people? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I work. Actually, I need to say my last week is coming up at the Psychiatric Residential Treatment Center, and I've been there 6.5 years. And there, in that environment, there you can't imagine there is incredible diversity among the people, age-wise, sexual identification, the where they came from, because they come from all over the country. And so I love working with whoever. It
Yeah.
doesn't I've always loved people. That's never been a problem for me. Actually relish that diversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get a little uncomfortable when everybody is kind of on the same page. I'm like, are
Oh,
we sure we're on the same page?
interesting. Well, so you're retiring from that role in a.
No, I actually am returning to being a hospice chaplain, which is
Oh,
what
okay.
I trained in. So my last week is next week. So it's actually a very hard week because I have to saying goodbye with all the all the things that are involved in that and saying hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of time to practice allowing
Yes,
grief.
yes. I am doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hadn't. This is maybe connected. Just the other night, my son was. He had seen something on the social media about a. It was actually about a monkey that fell off of a cliff and died, and he was just having all of this grief about it, and it was very interesting to sit with him in that grief and
Hmm.
just, yeah, animals die, people die. It definitely made me think about, well, my own childhood, where I think sometimes it was more of like, you're fine, it was just, I think we humans like to sort of say that, so quickly.
Yeah,
You'll
it'll
get
be all
through that.
right.
You'll get through that. But just that, I think the practice of allowing that you started with is to really let ourselves grieve our losses
Yes.
and our endings
Yeah.
and let ourselves
Yeah.
feel all of that. It's,
Yes.
I'm guessing that's
Definitely a
connected to
part of
compassion.
allowing. It's
Yeah.
in the grief journey. That's one of the groups that I've been leading all these years is grief and loss. And so sometimes people will stuff it, they don't want to deal with it. And it's a coping mechanism. And if you stay in it, it's not helpful. So that word allowing comes up. And I will say that I don't use that word in grief and loss because it can really be very hard. People aren't necessarily ready, you know.
Right.
And I always think of my own griefs and losses, and I think, no, I don't think I want to use that word.
You understand
Yeah.
what it's
And
like.
and that's part of that grieving process is to understand your grief. It's one of the documents that I share with new people coming into the group is understanding your grief is so, so critical.
Yeah. So love is about allowing, accepting, understanding. Sometimes it's about grieving. When you think about your life and the things you've learned, do you have a sense of what gets in the way of love or what kind of makes it difficult for love to move in communities?
In communities,
Community or even just in your own personal experience.
yeah, well, that's a difficult question. Answer doesn't come instantly for sure. In my workplace, I find it pretty much easy to accept people as they are. And if something comes up, I just look at that client in the face and suddenly all that just disappears. Now, of course, outside of work and out of that, I call it the bubble because clients are there and they're kind of in a bubble. Outside of there, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
And it gets to that point, is our neighbors, some of them are this way and some are that way, and I try, well, it's more than trying. It's that intention to be kind, have no judgment, you know. Although of course I see it, but it is the way they are. I have to accept that, right? I'm not fixing it for sure, and I'm not not ready to judge it. There may come up that judgment part of me, but I can also just let it go because it's their life, not mine.
Right. Right. And yet we're living life together because we're
Yep.
neighbors or
Right,
at the
right.
store together. It's interesting that you find it easy at your job to have that acceptance. And I've heard this from others. My husband has this sense, he's an Episcopal priest and he loves his
Yes.
role. He loves being in his role and he feels like it's very fulfilling to inhabit that
Yes.
role. And I imagine as a chaplain, you know your role, you know who you're accountable to, and that when you have that sense of your place and what you're capable of doing, I imagine there's a sense of relief in that, or when you're out in the grocery store and everybody's kind of just doing their thing, nobody has a clear role, like there's not a sense of I'm here to help you.
Right,
A
right,
little
right.
more, it's a
You're
little stickier.
perfectly said. Yeah,
Yeah.
because when we're not in our role, like you are in your role right now, yeah, we can rub each other the wrong
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of, well, why did they do that?
Right.
But I'm going to get really down to
Yeah.
the brass tacks.
Yeah.
In family, it can get tough.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go there. I wonder. I'm with you. In family, it's hard. And what's immediately coming to mind is in a family, everybody has a role. We start out with particular roles. There's the
Yeah.
mother, the child, the spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then people grow, right? And then the children aren't the children anymore. Now they're adults, and now they're, I wonder. I really am thinking about this a lot. That I think
Yes.
some of the problems in loving in families come because we get too stuck in our roles where we think it should be a certain way, or we think that we have to behave a certain way around this person because we've known that they like these things. And
Right. Right.
so we're just carrying all of these expectations, and it's very hard to just meet each other in that loving kindness, in that immediacy,
Yes.
because it's all that identity, and almost like the political figure. It's like they did this over, we carry their history, and I don't know. That's my sense of what makes it hard. What do you think's going on?
Yeah. Absolutely. Everything you said. And your children are still young.
They are,
Mine are all adults.
but I do have a
It's
mother, and I'm an adult, so I think we can probably
yes.
relate.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
probably can, yes. And, it's different, different roles that they play. And also, your husband is an Episcopal priest. And, you know, persons that are closest to me are not in that exalted role of a
sure,
priest,
sure. Well, he's a
And
human too. Don't worry about that.
well, yes, but still his role is kind of exalted. And I'm sure that it kind of flows down into family life. I mean, I would think so. I would hope so. Okay.
I mean, we do our best. We just
Well,
have
yeah.
different issues. We have different issues because of that. You know, our children don't want to go to church because daddy's
Oh,
the
yeah.
minister, and there's all kinds of
Yeah.
issues that can come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is, I think, the hardest to just continue to be kind, non-judging, allowing people to be who they are. And personally, I will notice when suddenly there rises up this sense of, I didn't like what you just said, and it rises up as a judgment, and it is not going to be kind. So that's what happens in family. That can happen. I think it happens in probably all families. But I notice, so I have all these practices that help me maintain my sense of equanimity, my sense of peace. That is very important to me, that sense of peace. I want peace to be the manager.
I want peace to be the manager. Ooh, I love that. That might have to be the title of our conversation. Yes, I want peace to be the manager. And I wonder, contrasting kind of chaplaincy work and family, loving as a chaplain and loving as a family. And at least in my own journey as a chaplain for a while, I do think part of what was so lovely about it is you're having this moment with people, and and I think there's a safety in that moment where they're just meeting you, so that you're kind of a blank slate, kind of space for them to hold their story, and they won't necessarily see you again in 10 years or 2 or 10 days, so but with family you're going to
That's
see them.
right.
You're going to and
That's
I think
right.
family and congregations often also operate
Yes.
more as families, and
Yes.
there has to be a little more. Your words are not just for this moment, they're memories
They're
that are.
going to remember it.
Yeah, it's a really
Not
different.
to mention if it's a written sermon.
Oh gosh, then right, or recorded for all time.
Recorded, yes.
Yeah, it's different to journey with people over time.
Yes.
I think one of my prayers, because I'm right in the middle, my parents are here and they're older and I
Yes.
have kids, and so I heard someone say recently, you'll know your children longer as adults than you did as children. I was like,
Right.
ooh, I like that.
Are you sure?
Maybe, I don't know. Right now, while they're young, that
I'm
seems like,
just teasing.
yeah,
I was
I know, I know.
having seen my children grow through
Yeah.
teen years, early adulthood, and
It's just there's so many changes. And it seems
yes,
like that practice of allowing us to change just feels like I want that more and more with the people in my
yes,
life.
yeah, for sure.
And yet I think probably we're attracted to the idea of consistency, right? We want our mother to always be a certain way, or we want, so
Sure.
there's a tension
That's
maybe
called
between.
the expectations.
Yeah.
We all have unconscious expectations, and sometimes they just don't work out. And I want to say, emphasizing the word unconscious, it's not deliberate, it's just in the back of my mind. And I can give you example of how often that has come up.
Yeah.
There's a certain expectation, let's say from your mom or your dad, and it's unconscious, and then suddenly you come to face with it that no, that is not how they were.
How do you get through that situation then? I was interested with you feel like you don't like what's happening. You have a judgment. It's with a family member. It's harsh. It's coming out kind of with pain in it. Do you voice it? Do you bring it to
Well,
meditation?
that definitely prayer, meditation. And what comes up for me and how I deal with it is I am I am just another human being. I'm no longer their mother. I'm this human being that is also trying to live in a peaceful manner and fulfilling my responsibilities and so forth. And when I do have when I notice, well, that didn't happen like I had hoped, it's recognizing, oh, this is what was inside of me. So then that's in me. That's not about them. That's in me. Literally, and when I come to realize that, oh, okay,
Then you can let it go. Yeah. And to see it,
yes,
I'm just at the beginning of learning to practice this, and I'm really learning to have the negative feeling, see what the expectation was that was unfulfilled, and then to try to see it as a learning opportunity instead
right.
of what my manager self wants to believe is
You
what
can
a
fix it.
horrible person you are, or yes, you can fix this, take this information and now go micromanage your life.
Right. Yeah. The I don't know if that's true for you, but the manager comes across for me as the fixer,
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned it and I kind of glossed right over it. So maybe we should go right back to that. You said something like we can't fix things.
right?
What do you mean by that? We can't fix anything? We can't fix what can't we fix?
Well, it came, I said this during when we were talking about loving kindness
Yeah.
meditation. So we can't fix the world, and we really can't fix other people either. That's what I was referring to. The
Yeah.
work is right here.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't fix the world, we can't fix other people. And in any given moment, what is happening is what is happening.
Right.
All we can do is cultivate our sense of love or our awareness, our understanding,
Yes.
so that we can make a choice in the next moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you said that choice because if you are not trying to fix anything, but you're noticing there is work to be done,
Yes.
and that can very well come from a loving place.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's a responsibility, carrying that through, or mending a relationship, or going out and doing something that, right now, a neighbor just texted me a day or two ago that their husband died, and they're just across the street from me. And, I sent her a very brief little text and thanked her for letting me know. And of course, I can't fix anything. What I can do is I probably will be able to go to the funerals, well, the memorial service. It's to perhaps because it might just make her feel a teeny bit better that a neighbor across the street came and gave me a hug. Now I can do that. Now I can't fix anything, but I can do that.
Right. We can't fix things, and we can act and we can live in the world and we can be of use. And I love that you're pointing to this, because I feel like this is also what's been very important to me lately, is to allow is, as I mentioned earlier, is to see clearly. And I think sometimes we want to rush to fixing and we
Absolutely.
don't actually look very clearly at what's going on. So if we can lay down our little savior hat for a minute and just be as we are, then a more natural response can start to emerge of the part we can play in the relationship.
Right.
And you're not going to fix her grief, but you can be in relationship and in alignment with her. Yeah, I wonder. It's one thought I have about community and church, and especially at this point with so many things dwindling, old forms dwindling, and
Yes.
we want to fix it. We want it to be
Right.
better. We want it to be different. And what would it be if we just really allow it to be as it is and I do think there's an effect that happens when we allow it to be as it is and we see it clearly and we kind of are loving Like that's where God works, right? That's where the spirit, that's how the
I
spirit.
believe that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love what you had because it feels to me like you're pointing to letting God be God.
Yeah.
That's the thing that came
Yeah.
to my mind is to that allowing actually has so much to do with because we don't know everything. So much of life, of things around us, we don't know. We have such limited knowledge. And so to rush out and act can actually not be helpful.
Yeah. And it's a balance.
Yes,
Yeah.
balance.
I
Yeah.
remember in at the Pacific School of Religion when I was in seminary, my pastoral care class was titled Fools Rush In Where Angels Fear to Tread,
Right.
you know?
Okay.
And so
Yes. Perfect.
there's a yeah, you don't want to be the fool that's rushing in, right? But you also don't want to be an angel that's afraid to step in. So there's
Love that.
this
It's
like
what a beautiful image.
there's a very powerful tension I think around allowing, but then also feeling empowered, not like, oh, it just is and I'll just stay here in my house and hide, but this is, and how can I
What can I
participate,
do?
yeah,
Right.
without being compelled, without, to me that's the kind of holy city, that's the regeneration we're aiming for, is to just be
Yeah.
a vessel of God, right?
Being useful has
Yeah.
so much to do with not rushing in, but to recognize, well, how can I be useful? Is this the right usefulness for me? Is this what? And it has, well, for me, it has to come from a very humble acknowledgement. Okay, I can do this, but I can't do that.
And to make those choices and own them is work. Do you feel
Yeah,
like over the years you've gotten better at kind of know, like, what's your beacon for decision making? This is, I'm working on this because I think to be useful is to be useful to others, but it's also to make sure your own
right.
well-being is being met, so it has to include your own needs. Do you have a sense of how you make those choices in terms of caring for self and caring for others?
Not many. Well, it's been almost a year, I guess. I was given a new group and it's called Practical Self-Care.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And this is an amazing group. Now, there was no curricula, so I developed the curricula.
mm-hmm,
And what I have found so compelling is this idea of care for yourself, taking care of yourself in all of the different aspects, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, because we're all just this one human being. So taking care of your physical self is not enough. Having abs of steel, is not going to help your heart, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
So I feel very strongly that because of my other life, my life before seminary and so forth, was so much involved in physical care, in being an exercise instructor and swim coach and swimming leader and, all of that. But I always knew that it's really the spirit that leads. So over time, over the years, I realized that, okay, it's no longer, that can't be anymore. I can no longer be the woman who's jumping around on the pool deck doing aquarobics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very practical thing. But more importantly, and this is maybe not, well, you judge for yourself. It often is really a practicality, means where are you spending your money? Money and energy. Money and energy are very closely related. How do you spend your money? Is it on the important things? How do you spend your energy? Is it on taking care of yourself, your responsibilities, or kind of flittering it away?
Mm-hmm.
So that And this course is very easy for me because I've had to do that. I had to make those shifts. And I know for me, I have to really take good care of myself. So I do spend a lot of time on this body. I went for a walk early this morning and then I rushed a little bit, getting myself into the car and get to work, even though it's not a work day for me, but because of this shift towards another job.
Hmm.
So I had to mind my practical self care, getting home on time, eating my lunch before you and I are meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're following me, but money actually is very important.
Hmm.
Making judgments, maybe not for you so much, but it is for me. I'm a widow.
Hmm.
So I'm responsible. I need to. Yeah.
Oh no, it's very, very much alive for me as a
Okay. Well, it
co-parent.
is for most people. And again, it's both the physical, mental, emotional, and the practical is all of that. But how do you use it? I mean, practical self care is when I'm leading the group and we have material in front of us. Well, I'll ask the question, what is that? What practical self care have you done for yourself? And they'll say, well, I took several naps. Now, that doesn't sound like what for these clients, it is very, very practical.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when we go through these different cycles, I know there are certain periods of my life where I am very tired, and I know sleep is
Yes.
what's most needed.
Yes.
And then we're in phases where we have more energy, and we know that we need to exercise every day to do. So there's a ebb and a flow to it. But it's interesting that you bring up money and resources and in relationship to self care, because I do feel like that's, yeah, we're well when I keep thinking about heaven, right? Heaven is a place where everything we need is given and
That's right.
everything we have to offer is being received. So that's the ideal. And so that's
Yes.
that's an ideal flow of resources in and out. And I know I aspire to that more and more. And on this planet, so often it's not balanced. We're
Yeah.
giving more than we have. Do you feel like you're at a time in your life where there's a balance of giving and receiving?
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
I'm just being very honest about that.
Yeah.
And it is all about those making the decisions. Well, what's important to me? What is it? And I can go even deeper and say, well, what is God calling me here? What is that internal nudge? For me, just a few weeks ago, my sister, who is much older than I am, had a stroke. And so I made an emergency trip that cost me so much money to go to Hungary. And it kind of started this thinking I have to have more income. And so the practical and the energy and the love, all that just comes together. That's why I'm saying energy and love really do come together. If I did not have the money and I got help from other family members who are not wealthy or anything, for me to make that trip. And still, I had to cover some of that cost. So, again, that was very important to me.
Yeah.
That nudge,
Yeah.
I have to go. I
Yeah.
have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate your honesty, Gabriella, very much, because I do think it's good to acknowledge that we need the balance, we need the flow, and that this material world that we have created has a lot of obstacles to that flow. And a
Yes.
lot of them come from our more selfish impulses that have created this planet and this system. And part of our growth
Yes.
is to keep wrestling with it. It's
Yeah.
not about achieving perfection, and that we will I've just recently been, because I'm really trying to create more collaboration. I want to bring more people together, and that gets messy when we think about
Yeah.
who's getting paid and how money is going to this group that needs more. And I'm aware of the messiness of it. I'm aware of
Mm.
my own fears about what if someone has a lot of need and I can't meet that need, or what if I have needs that aren't being met. Just there is
Yes.
a need to acknowledge that that is part of why it's hard to be a human being and why it's hard to be in community. And we're not at fault for that, but it's a reality that we need to learn how
Yes.
to navigate.
Yes. And it is a learning process, and it certainly is for me. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the things that I've had to, and I talk about, there's one part of this course, practical self care, is the question I would ask at the beginning. Well, can you name an impractical way you have purchased something that, and, clients will say this, that, and the other thing. And when it comes to be my turn, which is last, I'm very honest and say, there used to be a time not that long ago when I was in love with these, these handbags, and I bought a bunch of them. I mean, 13 of them, for goodness sake. Who needs 13 bags? And I say that to in front of the group, and
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to impress them. I'm simply trying to point to the fact that we're all human beings.
Human being.
So was that a need? Certainly not. It was not a need. I still have 10 of them.
Yes, we all have those experiences because we all have that desire for, and it's changing. We might have a
Yes, yes,
desire and then we realize, oh wait, that was, I think that's the other thing I'm starting to make more peace with is it's not like I'm going to figure out what peace looks like and then just stay in the peace lane forever.
right,
I'm going to have a commitment to peace, and then
right,
sometimes I'm going to go this way and then oh, I got to go back. Oh, and then I'm going to go this way.
right,
Like a
right.
weeble wobble kind of
Yes, yeah,
finding way.
I feel that way. And I think it's very interesting because as one ages, you begin to see things differently about needs and wants, and it's much easier for me, and it's fairly recent. It's much easier for me now to, okay, I can live with less money. And I did. I did live with less money, but then this emergency came up. And so that changed, and it wasn't instant. It took me a few weeks, and then there was the trip to convention. So it was pretty clear to me, okay, there's no balance here. I'm not comfortable with not having enough income to meet some of my needs. I should Let me rephrase that. Not meet some of the things that I feel would be very important to spend money on.
Well, I hope that this new position at hospice or returning to hospice feels is a good one. And are you
I think
is this a
so.
company you've worked for before or?
No, I've never worked for this company. This is in North Georgia.
Mhm.
It's a rather large company that has collected a bunch of other hospices, but this is Georgia Hospice Care. Yeah, yeah,
That's joyful for you. And
yeah.
I loved my time as a hospice chaplain. I imagine
Yeah, you
I
were.
do it
That's
again.
right.
I did it for 3 years full time and
Yeah.
a little while part
I'd
time.
forgotten you did it 3 years. I
Yeah,
didn't remember that.
yeah, little window in there. It's a powerful thing to accompany
Yes.
people through
Yeah.
their transition from this world into the next. Well, thank you so much, Gabriella. I think this is our time for today, but I look forward to hearing more as you go along on your journey. And
Well,
thank
thank you. It's a privilege.
yeah.
I'm honored that you asked me.
Well, and I'm also excited about what you're doing on YouTube. I don't know if you want to share it. Do you plan to continue your YouTube channel when
Yeah.
you get back to
Yeah.
hospice?
I mean, this is not like the way I do meditation, obviously, because they're very short. In fact,
Hmm.
that's one of the compelling things for me is keep it short,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when I run over 5 minutes, I'm like, because I did one yesterday and that was 7 minutes. And I'm like, I also feel, and this is just being real.
Hmm.
I don't edit it,
Yep.
you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is what it is. I'm not trying to be perfect in any way. And so it is also a growing experience for me. Yes, I've been leading meditation for some years, but it's different when you're in front of this screen.
Yes,
Yeah. You
yes.
know that.
I do. Well, and it's a new terrain to reach out to humans on the internet and in this
Yes.
way. Um, and it's a powerful one. You know, there's I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of people who are finding peace and connection through YouTube. Um, I wonder if
Yeah.
Swedenborg had been around in the YouTube era, if he would have been a YouTuber. Who knows?
Well,
It's a
we
new mode of
probably,
communication.
yes,
Yeah.
probably would be. Although we know that he had a stutter, so I don't know.
True. True. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
And I
Well, thank
love
you, friend.
it
Thank you so much.
when we both are in